Welcome to the Tribe Digital Marketing Series, joined today by David Gallagher, who is a marketing consultant, rolling up to our tech and data practice, our package service practice. It seems like you're a jack of all trades, David.
Well, I'm in the middle of transitioning, so I'm helping people onboard Marketo and do all sorts of cool stuff. And then on the other side of the fence, trying to do all sorts of other really cool, wonky, awesome things.
Just a ton of awesomeness to go around. I love it.
You know it.
Cool. Well, I'd love to get to know you a little bit. So tell us what you love about marketing.
Um, that's a deep question.
Huh.
You know, I I fell in love with marketing kind of early on because it's one of the few disciplines that covers all the bases. I mean, you're talking consumer psychology, you're talking, you know, social awareness. We're talking how do we spread messaging? How do we better communicate? How do we deal with feedback? How do we project manage? Like all of these different disciplines, and that's just like a handful out
Yeah,
of,
that's awesome.
you know, all the things that we do. But at the end of the day, as a marketer, there's really two things you want to do, or at least for me. It's like, one, I want to make sure that my end user, like the actual person who's consuming my product, my
Mm-hmm.
widget, my thing, has the best experience possible. And, you know, sometimes I fall short and I need to make sure that I up the game to make sure that I stay, you know, long
Yeah.
instead of short. And I think the other thing, and this is more of a personal thing and just working in marketing automation, is how can I get all the information a salesperson needs? Because I freaking hate sales. Like I loathe it, and I fully respect the people that do it because it is for me, the most difficult job, like in our industry of marketing, sales, consult, all that stuff. Like it is not something I would wish upon anyone. I've cold called, I've done all that stuff in the past, and I realize I'm not good at it whatsoever. But if I can get someone that is good at that, the information they need in 60 seconds,
Mm-hmm.
so the time it takes for them to pick up the phone, dial a number, hit the auto dialer, and actually talk to somebody,
Right.
I know I put us a step ahead of the game. So kind of those two powers combined, I also realized that the end user isn't always the end customer. It's sometimes that salesperson or your
Totally.
boss or your underling or these other people. So being empathetic to those around you is important. And I think coming back, like having all those different aspects and tentacles of marketing, um, and why I'm passionate about it is because like that's just one example of how you can really bring people together and also offer something in terms of, you know, that's more than just a widget. It's something that is human and engaging and, you know, just cool.
Well, David, that's a really fantastic message. And it really segues really well to what we want to talk about here in a time when empathy and a human approach is maybe needed now more than ever as people are adjusting and pivoting to a non-traditional marketing environment, I guess we'd call it. What are some other tips that you would give folks to be more empathetic, to be more human?
I don't do it enough, but listen.
Yeah.
I mean, really step back and think about what we're all people. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we try to sell more in times like this. You're trying to hit end of quarter, all that stuff. But at the end of the day, what's going to impact you? What's going
Right.
to move you? What is like, it's not always about them. It's about, you got to start with your own why first, not to get
Right.
all Simon Sinek,
Sure.
but, like you have to figure out what drives you so that you can figure out what's going to work. I mean, yeah, a lot of people talk about like events being transitioned to online marketing
Right.
and all, there's like 10,000 jellyfish, as one client put it. Basically things that are distractions that you shouldn't really be doing, but they're really fun, but it's
Yeah.
just a jellyfish moment. Um, but what we really have to focus on is that human approach. It's like, what's going to be important to me and my family today? I'm working remote, I'm working from home, trying to create the ritual, trying to create the not really ritual, more the routine.
Right.
And then how do I stay reliable? How do I take care of myself first so that I can take better care of my 4,000 unread emails? You know what I mean? But I think that's for me is one of the big things is trying to find myself in all this chaos, and then what marketing is going to work for me. Like personally, I don't check my emails for marketing anymore. Like that's just not
Right.
my thing. Um, uh, when I do, it's because it's my spouse saying, "Hey, Dave, you should totally check this out." So a
Right.
lot of times, what I could see as being helpful is think about that that third degree of separation. It might be a good time to start thinking that word of mouth, that
Right.
the way that people are being inundated with, messages about COVID. I think one of the best marketing campaigns I've seen recently is less about marketing campaign, about just doing the right thing, was some good news.
Right. That's a
Like
good point. Some good news. There you go.
Krasinski, like pulling that thing together, like he, like with his 6-year-old's drawings
Yeah.
of welcome to SGN, like it it's a human thing that brings joy, and we have products that still need to be sold. We have an
Yep.
economy that we're still trying to maintain, and there's some of us that are lucky enough to still be working,
Yep.
and we truly appreciate it. And at the same time, there there are still things to be sold, and there are still deals to be had, but at the same time, we have to approach it from, you know, what can we do to not like close the deal or make this better, but look at the long term. It's like, how am I going to be able to solution for what's going on today in the within scope, but
Right.
solution in a way that's going to take care of them now, at the same time take care of them in 6 months as things start to get back to normal, or maybe they don't and they get worse, and then it's a year down the road. But how do we build frameworks and scalable solutions that are going to be cost effective now and also resonate with people like me who don't check email?
Yeah. Yeah. It feels like it's a human centric approach now that's not product focused, anything like that, that is playing the long game essentially. Right.
Yeah, and it's something that a lot of folks have been kind of harping on, like probably back last 5 or 6 years, like those folks who are saying, "Oh, content marketing, content this,
Right.
content that." It's like, hey, we got to engage. But at the same time, there was so much spray and pray
Right.
that there wasn't laser focus. And now it's time to figure out, look at those portfolio of all that content we've produced, and how do we make it manageable and trackable. And now that we've kind of slowed down, let's recognize what we really have, and let's pull out those nuggets that we can offer, whether it's for free or it's for a download or it's
Right.
on LinkedIn or it's wherever your market happens to be. Virtual farmers market, I don't know, but like,
Maybe.
figure it out, man, because you got so many companies have such cool content, like hotchocolatetalk.com. It's this wonderful site that it is for client, full like disclosure. We're not supposed
Yeah.
to talk client stuff, but it's cool. Like, we're trying to get tracking and stuff put down there so that they can track these different programs. But we're talking about bullying, social emotional awareness, and abuse prevention for kids under the age of 18 in a time when they're trapped at home with potentially the
Right.
people that are abusing them. And it's like, how do we as parents or as community members best talk to a kid who's under 5 years old about the appropriateness of touching? Or how do I talk to a 12-year-old about, what should be expected, like when you're in a locker room situation?
Right.
And sitting down to have that hot chocolate talk is really important. And I would never have discovered it, to be honest, if this whole COVID thing hadn't happened. I'm like, this is freaking great
How
content. Like,
interesting is that?
this is awesome. Now we
Yeah.
just got to figure out how to make it trackable so that, at least for this, on this company's perspective, or
Right.
the nonprofit, that they can better understand their audience and know who's, in that 0 to 5-year-old bracket, like the early learning
Right.
people, and who's in the next age bracket, and better segment their audiences so they're not, again, like what was done, not that they were, but other people, like just spraying and praying. It's like,
Yeah.
you can't just produce content, because you need to produce it with focus and not as ADD as I am.
Yep. No, I love it. I think it's a simple message of focus and focus around the person
And
and
close your
standing.
closet doors behind you, because
Oh yeah. Close your
that's
closet door.
horrible.
I got mine. I think mine's closed.
Hey, you're good.
That doesn't mean my kids aren't going to pop in. But.
Exactly. But Brand, on the other hand, that's a whole other question. That's that guy. He needs to clean his room.
All right, David. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join.
Hey, my pleasure. I got to bounce. Have a good one.
All right. See you too.
Cheers. Bye bye.